Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Sports Central. Neil Duncan alongside Al Snow. We've got a great show coming up for you. Keith Allen, from the host of the American Hero Experience, and Rick Brown from the Lakeland Ledger. Stick around, everybody, for this week's edition of Sports Central. Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Central. Neil Duncan alongside Al Snow. And is this your first time on the show?
First time as co-host. It's used to sitting in the guest chair. But,
the guest chair, yeah.
Now I'm co-hosting.
All right, well, we've got a segment sponsor here.
We do. The segment sponsor is Abuelos.
Yeah, in fact, we just did the radio version of Sports Central at Abuelos, and then last night we did it at Texas Cow Company. So we've got this figured out on the radio side on how you get fed.
We need to figure it out on the TV side as well. We could use some more live remotes at some of our great restaurants.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a great guest here in the studio with us, and I'm going to let you do the introduction since you've known him for a very long time.
Sure. I'm going to introduce Keith Allen. Some people may know his face and voice from such things as the X Games, the Great Outdoor Games, some Olympic competitions, but he has a project that he started last year with Under the Bridge Productions called, it was the Ultimate Fishing Experience last year, but is now the American Hero Experience. Keith, welcome to Sports Central.
Thanks for having me. We started out with Ultimate Fishing Experience was a really kind of an experiential marketing and fishing trip of a lifetime kind of opportunity that I had put together, and from that started a blog, reaching out to people, asking, saying, hey, well, now that we got this thing set up, I want to do something significant with it. I want to give away a trip to a hero, nominate a hero, and man, it went viral. It went through the roof, and in no time at all, I had hundreds of nominations, obviously more than I could accommodate for at the time. And I was like, man, I think we got something going here. And I went to a buddy of mine who is a Emmy Award-winning producer and director, does a lot of sports for NBC and ESPN and Olympic directing. And I shared my concept with him, and he sat across the table from me and he said, I have actually written a treatment for a similar show last year, and he shared it with me. We were probably 80%, aligned on concept, and we said we gotta try something here. And we pitched it to the network, pitched it to NBC Sports Network and some sponsors, and lo and behold, we got on the air last year with our first season of Ultimate Fishing Experience. And after getting one season under our belts, we kind of went back and looked at the show and what it was, and did a little bit of market research, and people said to us, it's not really a fishing show, is it? No, it's not. It's really about these heroes, hearing their stories, addressing their needs, raising awareness for the challenges these guys and these families are facing, and also for the organizations that are supporting them. So we decided we were going to rebrand the show. For 2013, it'll be American Hero Experience, and I think that better defines what the content of the show really is, and it opens up our kind of broadens our spectrum of what we can do with it. So we're really excited about getting back on the air here in January on NBC Sports Network. You
talk about American heroes. Give us a little background on who you're talking about. Who are these American heroes and where are they coming from?
Hero is a broad term, and we've obviously been pretty heavily weighted in the military community. But to me, a hero is, obviously we have lots of service personnel out there that we include in there, but we also first responders, firefighters, policemen. But you know what? A hero is also a bus driver and a PE teacher, and extraordinary people, really ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Right. And so we haven't put a definition on the fact that, hey, to be on the show you have to be a veteran or you have to be wounded. That's not it. You need to be a hero.
A unique story.
A unique story. And, so we have a lot of different sources of ways that we find candidates for the show, and obviously the nomination process online is a major one. And through our affiliation with these causes, we're finding different organizations that we're working with and partnering with, and they've also been great sources for candidates for the show for us. And Ultimately it comes down to who has a compelling story and a need that we can address. And we always try and deliver something really impactful and profound, to these families that is going to have a positive impact on their life. We don't, we've been fortunate enough to give away mortgage-free homes and vehicles and grant money, and we don't do those things just because, hey, here's a pat on the back. We do it because that's the need for that family. And so one of our episodes last year that I know Al is familiar with, we gave a Marine, he's a double amputee, he had a dream of fishing professionally. We gave him a bass boat, fully rigged bass boat, and an arm list of sponsors. And we didn't give him that boat just because he loves fishing. We gave him that boat because that was his career path. He wanted to transition from his military career to his post-military career fishing, and he's getting to do that now.
Yeah, one thing that we, with the American Hero Experience, we're hopefully working with you on the upcoming season in bringing some of these stories to Polk County and some of our great fisheries here. In addition to the bass boat, what do you see as being kind of this year's big focus on in addition to the fishing? We started out and set the bar very high for ourselves with our pilot by just having this incredible story, incredible angler. Shaw Grigsby was our guest pro in that episode. We ended up awarding the family a mortgage-free home, which they're actually getting ready to move into this month. So we're always looking for profound and impactful rewards. We do have, I don't want to give too much away because we haven't locked them up yet, and we don't want to tip anybody off to what they might be getting, but we're looking for things like boats, like houses, or even things that are going to help out not just an individual but a whole organization, a whole group of people that are attached to the cause. A great example is just a couple of weeks ago, we did an event out of Patrick Air Force Base, which here in Central Florida, you go to the coast, it's it's right there. That's probably our closest military installation on the East Coast, and of course we have plenty over in Tampa, which is even closer. We did an event out there with Hells Bay Boat Works and had a military appreciation day. We took active guys out on the water for a day of fishing, but we also our sponsors and our partners donated a bunch of gear to the base's outdoor recreation outpost. So at that point, we're not just helping out the guys that were taken for that day of fishing. We're now providing gear for the entire community that lives on that base or comes to visit that base to use and enjoy for years and years to come. We're just trying to create more opportunities for these guys and these families to experience outdoor recreation because it's proven to be so therapeutic for them.
For our viewers at home, would it be safe to say, and maybe I should have asked you this before we went on air, but it kind of has, when I watch the pilot, it kind of has the Extreme Makeover type feel to it because you saw my reaction to it. I mean, it's very emotional to see these stories, but would that be safe to say if somebody at home that's maybe seen that show, it's very similar?
I think that's a great analogy. We're not always giving homes,
right?
But we are just as that show did, raising awareness for a cause and a need. And the special thing about what we're doing with these families is that it's not, when we hear about a family's challenges or a guy who's in transition from his military career, it's not unique just to that family. There are hundreds of thousands of families who are going through the same thing. And while we're raising awareness for the cause, we're also raising awareness for a lot of these families who are going through these same things, especially in terms of things like PTSD and TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, that is really the invisible killer, if you will, of a lot of these guys. One of the most severe problems that we've got in the country right now is that substance abuse and divorce and even suicide rates among veterans, man, it is alarming. In fact, I heard a statistic, I actually read it here last month, that the number of active military personnel who have been victims of suicide, the number lost has exceeded the number killed by the enemy.
Wow.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's scary. And we're finding out that outdoor recreation is helping these guys. And time after time I have guys tell me, fishing saved my life. It's hard to believe that, right? But literally, they're going out on the water, It calms them.
It's an outlet.
They're able to get out and relax and clear their minds and get all, let all the demons get out and relax enough to where they can go back and integrate and be with their families and ultimately be in society. And it sounds profound. It is. It's a real problem. And this show is directly bringing solutions. And because of that, we feel the need to keep doing this. And we're thrilled to have the opportunity to partner with you guys here in Polk County and bring the party this way. Obviously, the fishing speaks volumes. I got news for you. We were coming here anyways. So we're...
I think he just said he doesn't need us.
Well, yes, I do. We're really excited about coming here. We've got really some of the best fishing, not just in the state, but in the country, right here in Central Florida. I mean, what's unique about this state is that you're never literally more than a mile away from fishable water. And you have some pretty special water here in Polk County that we're planning on visiting, and we're looking forward to that.
Well, we have a joke here in Polk County that if you dump over a large enough glass of water, somebody's going to be fishing in it. And with 554 plus lakes, it certainly is. But tell us how people can get involved, whether it be through donations to your cause or some of the groups that you guys are assisting.
We have a couple of ways that you can do it. We're partnered with a nonprofit called American Outdoors Fund, which raises awareness for a lot of these causes and organizations and makes donations. Through our website, the new American Hero Experience website is under construction as we speak and will be online here by the end of the month. So that's where the online nomination process will be. That's a good way to find us, AmericanHeroExperience.com. And of course, AmericanOutdoorsFund.org is the nonprofit site.
Fantastic. Well, we certainly appreciate your time, and give us NBC Sports, right?
NBC Sports
when
Network.
When can people check that out?
We broadcast is going to start the first week in January. NBC Sports Network. We will be on. Just got broadcast times this week, actually. Mondays at 12:30 around lunchtime. Go take your lunch break, set your DVR, you're good to go. And then a re-air on Thursdays at 1 p.m. So a couple opportunities to see it. Going to run through first and second quarter of 2013. So if you miss it the first time, set your DVR and get the series.
All right, Keith, thank you so much for what you're doing, not only for our heroes, but for us here locally and highlighting the great fishing we have here in Polk County. Thank you so much for coming on Sports Central.
Hey, and thank you guys for reaching out and supporting veterans in these causes the way you do. It's going to be a great season. We're excited about spending it with you.
All right. Keith, thank you so much for coming on Sports Central. We appreciate what you're doing for these heroes as well as Polk County and promoting fishing. Another great event that happened recently in Polk County was the Lake Mirror Auto Classic. Let's take a look at some of this action. We'll be right back here on Sports Central.
This year was our 13th annual Lake Mirror Classic Festival and Auction. We had over 45 cars that were up in the auction area, up off of Main Street. We had 650 cars down here, both around Lake Mirror, here in Lakeland, as well as up on 12 city blocks up in the city. The festivities kick off on Friday night with Hot Rod Rendezvous, and the Hot Rod Rendezvous is hot rods parked in and around Lake Mirror. We have a live band, big sort of social party. People come out and bring blankets and camp out. And up in the Magnolia building, we have hors d'oeuvres, light hors d'oeuvres, and drinks for people that come to look at the auction cars.
Okay, it's a real pleasure to be here. I've done a lot of Concours d'Elegance events with this car. So it's Boca Raton, Hilton Head. I haven't done Amelia Island yet, but this is by far the nicest location I've ever seen for a Concours d'Elegance car show. It is absolutely superb. The organization was superb. I'm very, very impressed by the professionalism and the high class and high standard of this show. The location, perfect, and look at the weather. I mean, you can't beat it.
Well, when I was about 14 years old, my dad, who was an attorney, asked me if I wanted to look at an old car. He had an estate that he was settling. I said, can I buy it? And he said, no, you can't buy it. You're too young. I can't sell it to you anyway. And anyway, this is the part that was important. He said, it's an old car. You can't get parts for them. The day before I was 16, I asked him if I could buy a car, and he said, if you got the money. Okay, I got the money. He said, fine. So he thought I was going to buy a Plymouth, and I bought this car. I used $500 of my $1,000 to buy it, and he was very upset when he came home. Among other things, he called me a damn fool. I enjoyed it for, let's see, from 47 until 64. And in 64, my company was 2 years old, and it was very underfunded to start with, and even worse at that point. So I went into the bank, showed him my statement, and the guy said, I won't give you money, but I'll send you flowers. So at that point, I had to sell. The next year, we made the first profit, and the business became very good. We still own it. So after about a year and a half, I went back to the guy that bought it and asked him if he'd sell it back to me, and he wouldn't. So 40 years later, he finally decided that he would.
By 7 o'clock Saturday morning, we start bringing in all the cars around Lake Mirror. We have cars from early cars, antique cars, all the way up to more modern cars, going up to only 1976. Some of the cars that you'll see, some of the earlier cars, are much like this 1935 Rolls-Royce behind me that in its time sold for over $20,000, which is a lot of money considering back in 1935 the average house only sold for between $3,000 and $5,000. Up on the city blocks are more modern cars. We had Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches.
The car behind me is a 1935 Phantom II. That was the high-end luxury car, even by Rolls-Royce standards, in the 30s, and this is one of the last Phantom IIs manufactured. I purchased it about 6 years ago out of Vermont, and there's an interesting story about how I found out about it. I'm in all the Rolls-Royce clubs because of the Merlin and other aircraft engines I have, but I always wanted to own a car, particularly a Phantom II. To me, that's the creme de la creme of the pre-war Rolls-Royces. In 2001, I was asked to drive this car at a wedding. The current owner, his son was getting married and wanted me to drive the car for his son's wedding, which I did. And it's kind of interesting that the bride, she'd never even seen the car, and it's kind of a day like this, kind of warmish. And I drove up to her house, picked her up, and she took one look at the car, and she said, "Where's the air conditioning?" I said, I'm sorry, they didn't have air conditioning in 1935. Oh, I can't ride in this car, my makeup's gonna run. Oh, I can't do it. So I was in panic mode. The guy had driven the car from Vermont to North Carolina, Winston-Salem. I thought, my goodness, I'm in panic mode here. What am I gonna do? Fortunately, one of the bridesmaids got the bride all settled down. Everything worked out fine. It wasn't as uncomfortable as she thought it would be. In fact, I think she enjoyed the ride. Anyway, fast forward to about 6 years ago, I found out that the owner had passed away and the car was available. Immediately, I purchased it sight unseen.
The event was attended from somewhere between 45 and 50,000 people. It is a community event, meaning it is free to the community. And the way that we do that is through all of our sponsors. We have over 24 sponsors that all come together and pitch in to make this event happen so that it is free for the community and it is great for Lakeland. Within about a week after the event, we will have all of the highlights and photos of our winners and car winners up on our website. And we'll start to give you information about the 2013 event. And that website is www.lakemirrorclassic.com.
Everybody, welcome back to Sports Central. Neil Duncan alongside Al Snow, and some great footage there from the Lake Mirror Auto Classic. Always a fantastic event downtown Lakeland.
And it's great. And our second segment sponsor is the Hyatt Place in Lakeland Center.
Our next guest, don't turn the channel. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here. He does such a good job, which is making me ill to actually say this. He does such a good job when he comes on the show that we're going to have him on for 2 segments. But Rick Brown from the Lakeland Ledger is in the house.
What's happening, my friends?
Are you sleepy?
Good afternoon.
What's going on?
What? I'm just not.
You're
I'm
very
not bouncing
mellow
off.
today.
Well,
Is it because Hank's not here or what?
No, not even. You know, my friend Al is here. I'm very excited to see him.
What? Really? Really? Well, this first segment, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because obviously we had you on before the season started, and I don't know why we brought you back, but apparently you're back. But
Don't you feel special?
I've got to dish it out before he does.
It's a lot of love always.
But speaking of dishing out, the Bucs have been dishing out some punishment on the offensive side of the ball, and Coach Giano has them moving in a direction that I think the whole Buccaneer Nation has to be excited about.
Indeed. And what was funny when I looked at the stats last night, I didn't realize they are first in the NFC in points scored. New England and Denver, wow, some quarterback at Denver, some Peyton guy, you know, they're 1 and 2, but the Bucs are third. When have you known the Bucs to have a high scoring offense?
High octane offense.
I mean, this is
the last 10, 15 years has all been about defense.
That's all.
That's it. When
the
they won the
foundation.
championship, it was defense. Offense, don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. Brad, just play conservative.
Right.
Just hand the ball off. Just hit your short reads. This offense is going for it, but they have the weapons to do it.
Right.
They really do. I mean, Vincent Jackson, wow.
A guy that can stretch the field for him.
I have to admit, I apologize. I was wrong.
Well,
I didn't think Vincent Jackson would be a good fit with this team. I didn't.
What just happened?
I was wrong. I know.
All right,
Incredible.
all right,
Incredible.
all right. Keep going.
It happens once a year. But no.
It only happens here in Sports Central.
Oh, no. That's what my wife's. Never mind. But I didn't think he was a good fit. I just didn't think his mindset was. I didn't think he was the leader that he is. Mm-hmm. But he came in, his work ethic, he's gotten the guys together, the receivers, to study film more and more. Even when they're not supposed to, they're always together. That's really helped. And Doug Martin, rookie running back out of Boise State. Oh, my goodness.
Guy's killing it.
This guy, I mean, everyone, now, let's not get too carried away. I'm not saying he's ready for the Hall of Fame or anything. You hear people always talk about Emmitt Smith and all of this. No, not yet. But you like what he has.
But do you think that comparison is fair? Because I mean, not yet, obviously. But I think I see him more as like a Darren Sproles than an Emmitt Smith. He's just not that. Is he that big?
He's not that big, but he runs big.
Oh yeah.
He runs big, and he runs fast like Darren as well. I mean, he's like in between, maybe a Ray Rice type, maybe a Maurice Jones-Drew in Jacksonville. I mean, he has good hands, and every time he touches the ball, you guys, is like, could he go? Could he go?
Right.
And that's something that the Bucs haven't had at running back in a long time. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic there offensively, definitely, even with their tattered offensive line.
Right.
which is just they lost both all-pro guards, and they're still going along. Josh Freeman, his development at quarterback, 5 interceptions this year. I think he had 22 last year.
Well, they found out he was colorblind. He didn't realize the difference in the jerseys. That's what happened, and they fixed that.
Vinny Testaverde. Yes. I remember it well. I do remember
exactly.
it. But what they're doing is been fantastic. And they always say offense is for show. And the fans in Tampa Bay really should be excited, especially offensively, about this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I really think that it seems to me in watching the team over the course of the year, and we were at the opening game, I mean, especially with Josh Freeman, Coach Schiano and the offensive coordinators, I mean, he was short, dump passes, you know, and now they've really kind of opened up the offense a little bit more, and I don't know if that is just kind of fitting into Coach Schiano's system or, you know, really Josh is kind of, you know, feeling it now that, hey, you know, I've got the confidence where he may have not had that going into the season.
I think it's a little bit of both. And after the bye week, remember, before the bye week, they were 1-3. Mm-hmm. And that was a very pivotal time for the Bucs, because if they would have come out of that bye and lost to Kansas City, who knows where the season would have gone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they didn't.
Well, they lost 3 in a row because they won their opening game.
They won the opening game.
September 9th against Carolina.
And even though they were close losses,
right,
they were still losses.
They were, right, 3 in a row. I mean, that's hard to do.
Exactly. And even though they were NFC East teams. NFC East. Anyway. But after that bye, they went back and they self-evaluated. They just, what did we do right? What were some of the things we did right? What were some of the things we did wrong? Let's chop out some of all of this clutter, per se, and let's work on the things that we do right. And we'll continue to work on some of the other things, but let's focus in on some of the things we do. One thing Josh did, or he's noticing now, he's very good at picking out where there's man-to-man coverage, and he's trusting his receivers. Like I said, Vincent Jackson, 19, Mike Williams, just having a great year. And when he sees one-on-one coverage, he's not afraid to take a shot because he trusts those receivers to make plays. And a third receiver who's come on is Tyquan Underwood. Wow, he's able to he got a bad reputation of just being a speed receiver, but he's become a solid third down receiver. Once he gets on that nickel back or, heaven forbid, a linebacker, he can just blow right by him underneath. And he's really contributed significantly so far.
Well, they're sitting at 5-4 right now. They're getting ready to head up to Carolina, take on the Panthers. They have really not had a season that they thought they were going to have, and it really started in Tampa in that 16-10 loss on September 9th. The Bucs were able to do some stuff and defensively played very well. What about the defensive side of the ball, and how do you see that evolving for the Bucs this year?
I think they're going to continue to get better. One thing I really like is that defensive front. Gerald McCoy, you don't see the numbers, but he's having a good year. What they're asking him to do is just be disruptive in the backfield. Just
take on double teams.
Yeah, and that's what he's doing. Yeah. Teams are sliding. If you ever watch replays, you see teams sliding their protection, meaning they are doubling, sometimes triple teaming Gerald McCoy, which allows a Michael Bennett or even a Roy Miller to make plays. And even though Adrian Claiborne is hurt, Daniel, got to get his name right, Teo Nasham, number 50. He is just like an invisible ninja. He just, you don't see him too much. You're just like, who's this little guy? But he makes plays. And it's because of the disruption in the middle from McCoy. Now, the back end is still working. You got to like the rookie Levante David at linebacker. Having a lights-out year. Leads the team in tackles for losses, making the splash plays that people like to see their linebackers do.
Right.
Mason Foster's solid year. Quincy Black just went down.
Right.
He was starting to pick up, and that hurts. But Adam Haywood, veteran, solid guy. You're not going to get too many splash plays from Adam, but he's going to be solid. Like I said, the back end with the corners still working. You just traded Aqib Talib. Eric Wright is
Well, let's not go past that. Let's talk about the Talib trade. Do you think that was good for the Bucs, or do you think that might hurt him a little bit in the long run? Because he is a very talented guy. He's just not a very good person.
Talented guy, yes. But I think this is a good move for all of them. Number one, when they traded him, I think there are 8 games left in the season. He'll be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. After the first 4 years, do you really want to re-sign him for the money he's going to command?
Right.
So this became a business decision. And yeah, you're taking away your number one corner, but the trouble that he's had, risk reward, was it worth it? Is it worth it? That they were able to get a 4th round pick for him, wow, that's amazing, especially in the middle of the season. I think long term they're going to be fine. Short term, they're still working out some kinks.
Right.
E.J. Bicker strives. He's a battler. He battles. Leonard Johnson, though, keep an eye on this rookie, number 29. The guy, just 5'10", a little taller than me, maybe by a smidgen. Not when my hair is up, though. But the guy is a tough guy. Tough. He'll battle you. He'll fight, scratch a claw. Returned an interception for a touchdown last week. That's a guy to look forward to.
Let's bring it back to Polk County. Ahmad Black.
Ahmad.
Talk to us about Ahmad.
Ahmad is having a decent season. He's having a decent season. He usually comes in on nickel downs or passing downs. And what Ahmad has always done is been able to be around the ball. He's just like a ball magnet. He just finds the ball. And they like him. They love him there. His personality in the locker room is always bubbly. They love the kid, and he's starting to produce now. I mean, he has a couple of interceptions this year, and he's learning from Rondé, which is never a bad thing. Rondé is teaching him how to be a professional, how to study film, how to work out, how to keep your body healthy. And you see him progressing, and I think he's going to get better too as the season winds down.
I guess keeping in Polk County again, and I know this goes away from the Bucs, but you can't really talk about Ahmad Black and, of course, Lakeland High School and the Gators without talking about the rest of those Gator knots that are doing well, because you've got Rainey now with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Of course, you got the Pouncies, one with Pittsburgh and the other one's at Miami. You look at that high school team that played at Bryant Stadium, and it's amazing.
Wow. You know, Ahmad just tweeted something yesterday. It's funny. The Gator knots had all 7 of the guys who left Lakeland to go to Gainesville, from John Brown to Paul Wilson, the twins, as well as Rainey. And just to see them now, it's good to see them have success so far. And the Pouncey twins especially, you can tell that they're going to be around for a long time.
Let's take a break right now, and we'll see a little bit on the Pioneer Days Festival.
Lake Wales, Florida. And we're working on our Pioneer Days. We've had about 20,000 people, they think. And this is the car parade. And this is our 37th year. And we're so happy that the weather allowed us to perform.
The hardwood of the saw palmetto. We've trimmed it all down, made it into a blank, The last thing to do, these are actually little tubes that supply the nutrient to the plant. And right now what they're going to do is work it over a nail board, and this will remove what we call the pith from around those and expose those, and that's what gives us the bristle to make a brush.
Process of making a custom-made broom. The lady picked out the colors. And so we've attached a pearl, it's called, just part of the broom on the handle. Here, and now she's selected this color that she wants on the outside. And round, just as if we were weaving a basket.
And they become a big rug.
I'm building shaker-style wood boxes. Shakers came over to the United States in 1774 from England out of religious persecution in England. So these date back to 1798, and they made them up until early 1900s when the last shaker box makers passed away. It is shaker style. They kind of invented the fingering and the oval size of the box. It takes about 200 degrees water for about 15 to 20 minutes in order to make it pliable enough to bend. And they have a form that we take the box around, and when it's pliable, it'll bend right around there to an oval shape, which is basically what we have here, and that's what you end up with. We have what we call corks that we put in that wet wood, allowing it to dry.
A good time here. We've had the Lake Wales Highlander Band, we've had the Scottish group to play, and we've had a lot of people come and enjoy our different venues, and the Pioneers of the Year get to tell their stories.
Welcome back to Sports Central. There's always interesting things going on here at Sports Central and PGTV, and we went ahead and wanted to get to that special feature there, so we could bring Rick back and talk a little more Bucs defense. And this segment's going to be brought to us by the Best Western Auburndale. And Rick, before we went to the break, we were talking about the Bucs defense, and there's some interesting stats when it comes to this defense because they're like really good in some areas and just awful in other areas. And tell us a little bit about that.
You know, we were talking about Gerald McCoy, and he anchors the best rushing defense in the National Football League. And that's something that Tampa Bay has always been, you know, we talk about the defense being good. Yeah, they have the best rushing defense in the league. I mean, they held Jamal Charles to nothing almost. When they played the Panthers the first time, held them to 10 yards. Mm-hmm. They're just dominant on the run. Yeah. Then we come to the pass defense. Not so good. Actually, the Bucs are last in the league in pass defense.
So does one equal the other? Is it because nobody ever runs on them? They just throw it the whole game?
No,
I
everyone
mean, you
tries to.
you got to try to be a balanced offense, right? I mean, so they're stopping people.
It's
but why
weird.
would you run the ball against them?
You know, I wonder the same thing sometimes. You
Is it just because it's in your brain as a coach? You got to have a balanced attack.
You have to have a balanced attack. You cannot be one-dimensional. Although it seems like against the Bucs, if you pass the ball, you have success. The thing about the Bucs, though, I will give them this. Even though they're last statistically in pass defense, when it comes to making plays in the fourth quarter, they have. The last two games against San Diego and Oakland, the defense have come up with timely interceptions late in the game. So if you keep passing, if you're going to pass 40, 50, sometimes 60 times a game, you're going to give up 3 interceptions because this is a group that's third. Again, now I understand what Raheem Morris meant when he said stats are for losers. They're third in the league in interceptions, but last in yards given in the pass. Stats, they boggle my mind so much.
If you throw it 100 times a game, sooner or later you're going to get one intercepted.
Yeah, well, you're going to get your yards as well, but it's the time that they do get the interceptions, and they hate the moniker bend but don't break. But this is what this defense has been, especially in the passing game. You go up and down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field, but when you need to score, the Bucs defense comes up with a play. Now, pass defense is different in the sense that it's not just the corners. You know, it's not just the safeties. You need a good rush because if you give these quarterbacks time in the NFL, they're going to make plays. And look at the quarterbacks. Drew Brees, all-pro, I mean, MVP type guy. You saw what Cam Newton did last year. He's not having the success this year because of his offensive line, but he's still a dangerous guy. The rookie RG3 had a pretty good game against the Bucs. Eli Manning threw for a gazillion yards in the fourth quarter against the Bucs in the victory up in New York. You give these quarterbacks time, they're going to burn you. Right. It starts up front with the pass rush, and then it trickles back. And like I said, when it's time to make a play, though, the Bucs seem to always make a play, at least the last 3 or 4 games.
We were also talking about, before the break, the Polk County contingent, Gator Knots, and there's others that are in the league that you know, of course, Ray Lewis is, of course, he's out for the season, but from Kathleen, been in the league for 16 years, so a lot of talent comes out of Polk County, but you know, the Pouncey twins came right in and started at both of their teams. But there was a lot of people that were kind of skeptical whether Ahmad would even make a team or have staying power. And the same was true of Rainey. They told him in college he was too small to run between the tackles, and now they're using him in Pittsburgh. Do those guys have what it takes? I think they have it talent-wise, but do they have that next level to stay in the NFL?
I really think so. One thing, and I haven't been around Chris as much, but I have been around Ahmad. And there's one thing I've always liked about this kid is just that desire to be good. No, I'm sorry, desire to be great. He wants to be great. He wants to be considered one of the best in the league. That's going to take time.
Right.
It's going to take time. But he's always had to fight. Right. You're right. Ever since he was at Lakeland, he was too small, too slow, too this, too that.
Right.
All-American. At Florida. All-American. He has what it takes in him. Now it's just going to take time. Right. Get on the field. And it could come soon because Rondé's not getting any younger. And like I said, the Bucs really like him. Now, with Chris, what I like, and it's funny, they're both 5th-round draft picks. It's amazing. But one thing that they're doing with Chris, they're bringing him along slowly. You know, they see his speed. They know his speed. They know he's a fast guy. So let's get him in some returns. Then let's work him in on some third down, see if we can get him out in open field. And then when they had to, well, let's see if he can run the ball. I think it's going to be a nice natural progression for Chris Rainey. And I like where he is in Pittsburgh. I like that organization, the dynamic of that organization, as well as he's with one of his teammates, Pouncey. And so that also helps. A guy who's been in the league, who knows what it takes, who knows that city, what Pittsburgh means, and the kind, and you don't hear about Chris Rainey too much. You don't hear him being flashy and all. He's adapting to his environment, which is good for him. And I think he's going to continue to improve as well.
Well, and he had a couple run-ins. I mean, with some situations at UF, and I think you're right. I think with Pouncey being there, already being in the league, because that's a whole new ball game. When all of a sudden you're making a lot of money, and you don't have that college coach telling you what you are going to or not going to do. So that's got to be a big adjustment. And how have you seen that with Ahmad and the Bucks? I mean, you talk about Rondé Barber being there, and it seems like everybody in the league needs that one person to help bring them along.
I agree. And what Ahmad did during the off season was, it was funny. Every time I would talk to him, he said, well, I'm headed down to Miami to work out with the Twins, or I know we got something here. Rondé's working out here, so I'm going to work. And he was always working out, always with positive people.
Right.
Now, they're both 23, 24 years old, so they're young. They're going to make mistakes.
Right.
But they want it. And you cannot, if someone doesn't want it, if they don't have that desire, you're not going to be good. If they're just going to rest on their laurels, I don't see these kids doing that. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be homerish or trying to be just, rah-rah. I really like what I see in these kids. And I think that that's going to carry them a long way.
Well, I know we talked on Sports Central back before the season started on the radio show, and I had a little prediction about the Bucks going 500 this year, and I think I was laughed off the air by you and some of our guests at the time that didn't have such high hopes. I know they've got a tough schedule left.
All right, Al, thanks for coming.
I mean, they've got Atlanta a couple more times. They've got Denver. I mean, how do you see the rest of the season? I mean, I don't think they're surprising people anymore. I think now they've got everybody's focused on them. Their offense is potent. How do you see them finishing out the season?
I think it's going to be interesting because you mentioned they do have Denver coming up. They do still have to play Atlanta twice. They have to play New Orleans again. And so you have Carolina. You have to go to Carolina, which is a tough place to play. Divisional game are always tough, especially on the road. It's not going to be easy, but what you like about this team is they don't look beyond this game. And I know it's so cliche-ish, and me and my boss had this discussion about, Rick, it seems like you're writing that they're cliche. There's just, we're looking at this one season at a time, and this is the Carolina season. But honestly, that's what they do, or at least that's what they pretend to us anyway, that they're just focusing in on what can we do to allow us to beat this team here. And then we're going to the next season. That's worked so far. And if they continue that, they're not going to go undefeated the rest of the year. I don't see that happening. But they're going to be in games. And as long as you focus in on what you're supposed to do, you're going to be in games. And as long as you don't turn the ball over, and they have a plus 11 turnover margin, you're going to be in games. That's what this team has been doing. So 8-8 may not be too far-fetched now. I was thinking 6-10 before the season started.
Well,
you
dare I say it? Playoffs?
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? Playoffs? We're not talking about playoffs. They're just trying to win a game. No, I'm sorry, but
this might be the worst Coach Morrow impersonation I've ever seen.
Well, yeah. I think you're probably.
But anyways,
right
do you see the Bucs making the playoffs?
The NFC is wide open.
Yeah,
it's wide open. They're in the hunt right now. I don't see it this year, but I think they're going to be right there through December. We're at the end of November now, but I think they're going to be in the mix, but I think they're going to come just short this year. But it's going to be a nice a nice little carryover for next year, what they can do, because they still have some pieces missing. They're not there yet to make a nice little run. But as I've always said, you shouldn't put a ceiling on what they can do either. So it's possible. I would say no.
Thanks for crushing my dreams.
I mean, but it's possible. I mean, all right, they don't like to look ahead, but let's look ahead. Carolina. Then you have Atlanta at home. You haven't beaten Atlanta in a while. That could go either way. Let's see, after Atlanta, that puts you at Denver. Always hard to win at Denver, Mile High, and Peyton Manning's playing like Peyton Manning now. Then you come.
Were you there for that Monday night game that he scored 21 points in like 4 minutes?
No, I actually was in the office that game having to work.
I was there. I must just threw myself over the side of the stadium, but
I was so happy for Tony Dungy that night. It was just amazing. I'll never forget that night. But anyway, that was an incredible comeback, and he did it again against San Diego.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Well, not in the fourth quarter, but down 24-0 at the half. 35-24. I'm surprised. I did not think Peyton Manning could come back. Okay, but enough of them. After they lose to Denver, they come back. They have to play Atlanta and
Does he lose to Denver?
Yeah, he's got him.
I don't think they go up to Denver and win. I don't see it.
All right.
I don't see it. They come back and they have the Eagles. That game will be very interesting because you never know if the Eagles are going to be just ready to throw in the towel, ready to hit the beaches, ready to swing some golf clubs or not. At this rate, it looks that way. So. And then you have New Orleans and Atlanta again. I just don't see the playoffs. It's going to be hard. They're going to have to win all their home games and take a couple of games that you wouldn't think they would.
Right.
To be in the mix.
To be in the mix. Real quick as we're wrapping up, Coach Schiano, was he the right fit? Is this just a flash in the pan as far as this season? They kind of figured some things out, or do you think he's there for the long haul?
You know, after the 1-3 start, I thought maybe this is over his head. Now I'm starting to understand his philosophy. He wanted to make a tough team. He's doing that. I think he's here for the long haul.
Okay.
I like him.
All right. Well, it is always fantastic to have you in the studio, whether I like to admit it or not. You do a fantastic job reporting on this. And of course, the Ledger does a great job reporting on sports in general. Getting ready to start the high school football playoffs, and for the first time in a long time, Lakeland's not the district champ. And they're going to have to go on the road, and I think they've been in 3 or 4 overtimes this year.
Yeah, incredible.
It's been incredible. But of course, you got your Fort Meads, and you've got your the Winter Havens, and the talent that this county has.
Yes.
And we talked about four kids, not just from Polk County, but from the same team that are now playing in the National Football League, and it's incredible. But thank you for your time, Rick. We really appreciate you stopping by, and you're always welcome here at Sports Central.
Neil, Al. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Well, we're going to take a quick break here and check out the local update with Steve Barnes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back here on Sports Central.
Welcome to Local Update. I'm Steve Barnes, here to tell you about some great upcoming events taking place across Polk County this month. The Bartow Chamber will host Movies on the Lawn on November 23rd. Pack up your blankets, lawn chairs, and picnic basket and come enjoy a family movie at the corner of Wilson Avenue and Main Street. The movie begins at dusk. Bach Tower Gardens' annual holiday home tour at Pinewood Estate begins on November 23rd. This year's theme is the nature of the holidays. Central Florida designers and volunteers will decorate Pinewood Estate, Bach's 20-room Mediterranean-style mansion, transforming it into a winter wonderland. The holiday home tour will be open on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, and will continue through January 6th. The Lake Region Audubon Society will have periodic bird hikes at Circle B Bar Reserve this month. Hikes are led by the Bird Club and are free. The November 24th hike begins at 8 a.m. Go to polknature.com for details. Pro Soccer Consulting will be at the Lake Myrtle Sports Complex November 26th through the 28th. PSC is based out of England, and they will bring an outstanding group of professionals to the PSC Soccer Combine, focusing on realistic situations such as small and full-sided games. This is Polk County's second year for hosting this event. Theater Winter Haven presents Winter Wonderettes, beginning November 29th. Following the success of last year's marvelous Wonderettes, the girls are back to sing your favorite holiday tunes with a few twists to delight this season of joy. Tickets begin at $19 and the show runs through December 15th. The Florida International Senior Games and State Championships begin on December 1st. This 9-day multi-sport festival offers 22 sports for senior athletes age 50 and older. Competitions will be held in multiple venues throughout Polk County. If you're interested in volunteering for this event, contact Josh Hicks at josh@centralfloridasports.com. Florida Sports Foundation Polk Senior Games is sanctioned by the Florida Sports Foundation and is a qualifying event for the Florida International Senior Games and State Championships. Christmas Bricktacular at Legoland, Florida kicks off on December 1st. Legoland will feature a 270,000 brick Christmas tree and festive decorations. Santa Claus will make daily appearances in the park. Christmas Bricktacular will be celebrated every Saturday and Sunday through December. Sun and Fun will host When Pigs Fly South on December 1st. Fly in with your plane or drive to Lakeland for this world-class competitive barbecue competition. Food vendors will be on site, and admission is free. Polk State College hosts the Over 55 Show Band on December 1st and 2nd. This band is composed of musicians in ages from 40 to 80 and has been performing in the area for more than 20 years. The concerts will be held on the Winter Haven campus, and tickets are just $8 at the door. The holidays are quickly approaching, and that means we should all plan to attend at least one Christmas parade. Well, we have 3 Christmas parades to choose from on December 1st: Haines City, Polk City, and Frostproof. The Ramon Theater will host their annual Festival of Trees on December 1st. The Festival of Trees is a beautiful display of lighted Christmas trees, each decorated in different themes and colors. Vote for your favorite, and the proceeds will go towards the Frostproof Care Center. Nunset Boulevard, the Hollywood Bowl Show, is coming to the Lakeland Center on December 5th. The latest installment of Dan Goggins' international smash hit, Nunsense franchise, the Nunsense Hollywood Bowl Show, stars Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley. Tickets start at just $45. Well, this has been a quick glance at some exciting events taking place around Polk County this month. For details about all these events and much more, go to visitcentralflorida.org, centralfloridasports.com, or download the new Explore Central Florida app for your Apple or Android device. Until next time, I'm Steve Barnes, and I look forward to seeing you at some of these great events.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Central. Neil Duncan alongside Al Snow, and great show, and abbreviated fourth segment here, the local update, because we had some great interviews, but we have a fantastic event coming up that we want to talk about.
Yeah, in Polk County you have the Florida International Senior Games and State Championships coming up on December 1st through 9th. There'll be 22 sports contested in Polk County: golf, bowling, billiards, pickleball, a wide variety of sports. We're definitely looking for volunteers, though, to help out, and the number that you want to call is 551-4737. Talk to Josh Hicks, get you set up to be a volunteer and be a part of this great event.
And if you can't get enough of the Sports Central, maybe you want to see the radio version, see it.
See it?
Whatever.
Really?
Yeah, we'll
That's good.
we'll webcast
That's
it.
good.
But Sports Central on the Hall Communications Talk 1430 WLKF. That's every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. And we want to thank some of the sponsors that made this program possible: Harry's Seafood Bar and Grill, Holiday Inn Lakeland North, Travel Lodge Lakeland North, Days Inn Lakeland North. A lot of partners there on the north side, and Bright House Networks. Just a few partners that make tourism and sports marketing as well as Sports Central possible. For Al Snow, this is Neil Duncan. We'll see you again next time.